Hello, I'm Annie Altamirano. Welcome to my YouTube channel, Empowering Teachers Worldwide. A couple of weeks ago, I talked about the first step to take in the implementation of differentiation in the language classroom. And I said that at the heart of classroom practice of differentiation is the modification of three curriculum-related elements. And those elements are content, process, and product. Now, in today's video, I'll be focusing on process and product and also on another form of differentiation, that is differentiation by grouping. So, what is differentiating the process? When students encounter new ideas, information, skills, they need time to make sense of the materials before these materials become theirs. This making sense or processing is how students come to understand the information, the ideas, or the skills being studied. And it reflects students' learning styles and preferences. Now, what does this differentiating process involves? It involves providing varied options at different levels of difficulty or based on different learning interests. Also, it means offering different amounts of support, either from the teacher or from peers. Also, giving choices about how students express their understanding and varying the learning process depending upon how students learn. Now, how can we differentiate the process? There are many things that we can do, and I'm sure that you do many of these. First of all, you can use tiered activities through which all learners work on building the same important understandings and skills, but they proceed with different levels of support, challenge, or complexity. You can also provide interest centers that encourage students to explore subsets of class topics that are particularly interesting for them. They can also develop personal agendas, that is, tasks or task lists written by you and containing both common work for the whole class and work that addresses the individual needs of the learners. And these agendas can be completed either during a specified agenda time or if students complete core work ahead of time. You can also offer hands-on support for students who need it. You can vary the length of time a student may take to complete a task in order to provide additional support for a struggling learner, for example, or to encourage an advanced learner to go deeper into a particular topic. You can also provide access to a variety of materials that target different learning preferences and readiness, or develop activities that target auditory, visual, and kinesthetic learners, that is, providing a multimodal approach to the materials. You can establish learning stations for inquiry-based independent activities, using flexible grouping to group and regroup students according to content, ability, or interest. You can provide textbooks with images and words for visual learners and allow auditory learners to listen to audiobooks, or give kinesthetic learners the opportunity to complete interactive assignments online. So as you see, there are lots of things. For example, I will go deeper into a couple of these things. For example, inquiry boards or learning menus. These are basically graphic organizers made up of different numbers of squares. Each square is an activity, and the activities help learners learn or practice a primary concept while allowing a choice. They can be instructed to choose one or more of these activities. They can progress from one activity to the other in an organized way or in a random way. Actually, these have been around for a long time, but mostly on paper. Now, with digital tools, we can make them into an interactive and creative activity. Learning menus can include tic-tac-toes, for example, like this one here, restaurant-like menus, multiple choice grids, uh, all sorts of interesting things that they can do. The key is that the assignment sheet should include a well-defined description of how to complete a chosen activity. You can also give activities points that students can earn, and at least one task from each section have to be completed, for example. But students have a choice. They are free to choose which tasks from the menu they will complete. Another option is the learning stations. Learning stations are physical locations in the classroom or breakout rooms, if you're teaching online, where students are asked to solve a problem and answer questions using the materials you have provided. They are allowed to work individually or with as many as 3 or 4 people in teams. I suggest not more than 4 people because otherwise it will be rather messy to handle. So it's important to note that learning stations require strategy. We cannot just gather some random activities and put them in the corners of the room, hoping that students will stay on task and take something away from the experience. They have to be purposely designed. We have to work at building a culture in which students stay focused and respectful of each other's work. And you have to make sure that they are getting targeted practice and to identify common misconceptions, areas of strength, and points of growth. Now, for learning stations to be effective, it is important that they are based on student assessment data. We need to know beforehand where students are in terms of the learning intentions. Each station, has a problem for the student to solve. There should be a learning goal and the activities should be fairly straightforward. Don't go into designing very sophisticated activities because students should have a limited amount of time to do this. Students work within multi-level resources. They have tiered assignments and activities that allow for varied responses, and important concepts can be stated explicitly by students once they have finished all the learning stations. Now, differentiating by product. A product is something that the students generate at the end of a significant span of learning. And this requires students to apply and extend what they have learned over a period of time. Products may range in complexity, but they should all have a clear academic criteria and be clearly aligned to the learning intentions and targets. For example, here you have some possible product formats: developing campaigns, blogs, surveys, debates. We do these things, only we don't call them products. Here you have an example of a differentiated product. Suppose that students have been working on a unit of sports and they can be given a choice of products. For example, for the less confident students, they can choose one of the tasks, which is quite simple. Make a little book on a chosen sport or make a video presentation with basic information. Group B, that is the average group, again has a choice of 2 tasks, but slightly more challenging. And then finally, the more confident students have only 1 task, but this task involves a number of subtasks for them. Now, it's important to create high quality product assignments. So I would like to give some essential guidelines for developing these high quality product assignments. First of all, decide on the format or formats the product will take. Sometimes the requirements of the curriculum shape the product because the book tells you that the product should be A. But even so, you can decide on 2 or 3 options and differentiate further by inviting learners to suggest alternative options that are of particular interest for them. Also, determine baseline expectations for quality. Clarify what students should pursue in regard to the content, how they should work, what indicators of quality they should work towards. It's a good idea to build a checklist of what a good product should be like. Sorry. Also, uh, determine how you will support the students. For example, brainstorming ideas to present the product, arranging peer consultation, editing opportunities, planning samples. You decide depending on the product. Also, help learners relate the product to the real world. Help them see how what they are doing, the ideas, the skills they study at school are used in the real world to address real issues. Encourage them to use and synthesize multiple sources of information. They already do this in their first language, but they don't seem to be able to use the ability in English. Provide templates or organizers to support struggling learners so that they can organize their work more easily. Establish mini milestones for sections of the product so that they see small wins as they progress. And analyze models of effective products from previous years or from other classes. Finally, a word about differentiating by grouping. Now, when learners do group work, you have to think about grouping in the context of the activity they are going to do and how grouping will best support all the students to achieve their learning goals. The question we must ask ourselves is the purpose of the grouping and how this grouping will impact learning. Sometimes it's appropriate to group pupils of similar ability, but some other times it's better to have mixed ability groups. We can differentiate groups, for example, by roles according to ability. Some learners may be good at doing research, others at drawing or using technology. So you can allocate roles if you think that a learner needs to develop a particular ability, or you can allow them to choose their roles or allocate roles randomly. Whatever you choose to do, it's essential that learners know and understand what is expected of them and what they should expect from the group. When group is the basis of cooperative learning, it's important that each learner understands that their contribution to the group is essential, regardless their skills. So this is all about differentiation. I hope you have found this series of videos about differentiation useful. If you would like to know more about this, don't hesitate and contact me. Here you have my email address. You can also find me on LinkedIn. I'm working on a blog that is going to come out quite soon together with my new website. And of course, you can always follow me on YouTube. You can subscribe to my channel for more videos about tips for teaching. So it's bye for now. Have a lovely day. Goodbye.